This was my second project in South Africa. It was called Platteland, Images in Rural South Africa. During this period, which was my longest period for any of the projects, was extended from 1986 to 94, South Africa was in quite a turmoil. It wasn't clear to most people whether the country was going to collapse, whether it was going to break down, whether it was going to succeed in some way. There was a lot of fear and anxiety about the state of things. Chaos ruled. And during this time, I photographed a group of mostly white people who lived on the periphery, on the margin. This book opened up a lot of wounds in the country. It became very controversial. I had death threats and all sorts of other problems from this book, and it became a talking point well outside of South Africa. And my career as a well-known photographer, in a way, started with this book. Although I've never considered myself a political photographer, people saw these images as basically very political. This was one of the prison warders in South Africa. People always ask me, well, where do you find these subjects? Well, to be honest with you, this photograph started right there. You see that thing? You see that thing? And you see that thing? What is good photography about? Good photography is about visual integration. It's about taking things that don't naturally exist by themselves or with other things and putting them with other things in a unique, meaningful way. And so before I saw this man, I spotted this, and then I spotted this, and I was able to integrate this picture in some way or another. This was one of the people who lived in one of the towns, and he kept having relationships with his maids. And since his father was the mayor of the town, they couldn't put him in jail, so they kept moving him out further and further to different farmhouses outside of town, until one day I couldn't find him ever. I couldn't find him, and he was lost somehow or another. I never came across him again. This was the third maid in the third house. You can see this was a boy in his bedroom, and you could see that there were certain things going on in these walls and in these places. And I always say to many people, if you could take the walls of some of the rooms or some of the places that I've been in, you could make a very interesting museum show. Here's like a Moreau here, maybe. Here's drip painting. Here's a delivery boy with his cat. This is perhaps my most famous picture. I wouldn't say it's my most favorite, but it's the one that'll haunt me to my grave, I guess. It's called Dressy and Kessie. It's twins. And wherever I go, I mean, once a week somebody says something about this picture. They use it for selling hamburgers, for selling property, from Hong Kong to Australia to America. It's a very famous picture. And I think it's interesting from many points of view. This man worked inside. He had a clean shirt. His brother was outside. And if you look at the picture in the museum here, you can see that a little bit of saliva is coming down from him and a little bit of saliva is coming down from him. Why does this picture haunt you? Why do people never forget this photograph? Why? What is it about this picture that makes you remember? Well, look, there's so many theories, so many ideas. But perhaps you're just looking at a reflection of the other side of the brain, the other side of this, of your ancestors, perhaps. Somehow or another, it's a reflection into something very human, something we've all experienced in one way or another. Maybe not in this generation, but the brain encompasses more than this generation. The brain encompasses things that go back to the time when we were protozoa in the seas and the oceans. We're part of that too, but just remember that.